This one's mostly focused on assistance that we're coming up with. We've had great working relationships with our state, federal partners up to this point, both in the search aspect, and now we're going to talk a lot about some of the assistance aspect. You're aware that I've been talking to the governor a lot, but she has been very gracious in the state authorizing an emergency declaration for $5,500 of emergency assistance. You're going to hear what the city's going to provide in additional service. Here in a moment, I'm going to have the executive director from the Red Cross talk about their assistance and their operations. So one specific one I want to talk about today in our community partners, we just had a great conversation and advice from Miami-Dade. The folks that did the work with Surfside, we just had a great conversation with their respective, the mayor's office, their police, their fire, their emergency management, and all that to assist. And they continue to offer individual assistance in respect to police, fire, search, etc. So we are very grateful for all the folks that have reached out, all the people that are willing to talk with us on what they experienced and what we should be looking at and how we should be dealing with it. So I thank them for that. I thank all the other partners, and I want to thank the Community Foundation for giving assistance and offering assistance. So without further ado, Executive Director, Ms. Burnett, thank you so much for being here, and please, American Cross, the Red Cross has been a great partner with us.
Thank you, and thank you, Mary, for letting us be here to share some of the services we're currently offering. First of all, our hearts are with the entire community. This has been a horrific event for all of us, and our hearts are right here with our own community. We currently have a shelter open. It was originally open Sunday night at the KSI location. They were gracious to open quickly for us and have been a wonderful partner. We did move yesterday over to the former Select Hospital location at Marquette and Kimberly, so KSI could reopen for our seniors here in the community. The shelter is open to everyone impacted, whether they want to spend the night for a safe place to stay, they want to come in to get air conditioning, food, charge phones, get health and mental health services. We just want anybody impacted to feel free to come there. We do take pets there with them also, so they can bring their pets. This Saturday really is going to be a great event to help these folks. We have partnered with more than 15 different agencies here in the Quad Cities, and we will be doing a resource center at the downtown Davenport Y, right by the newspaper. Residents impacted will be able to come to that center. They will do an intake process with us where we'll gather their information, and then they will be able to meet individually with the different agencies and with the Red Cross to find out about resources that will be available to them now and going forward. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for them to come together and get some support mental health wise, but also learning about resources to get them help for their recovery. And our work will continue as long as we're needed with this, so we're just grateful again to have this opportunity to let you know what is happening and to make sure that the residents impacted are aware of those services. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. And so now I'll have Bruce Berger. He's our Executive Director for Community Plan Economic Development. So he's going to go through the assistance that the city is providing. Again, I talked about the state and others, but the city are going to provide some assistance also.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, and there are a number of agencies. You just heard big thanks to the Red Cross for all of their efforts, Salvation Army, Humility Homes, Community Action of Eastern Iowa. There's a lot of folks helping. We're adding to that, and so our contribution, the City Council, subject to ratification by the city next week, but we're looking at assistance for residents who were in the building of $6,000 for the household, and the idea is that should be able to help with some things. It's not universal. It's not going to help with all, I know, but hopefully with some of the resources the mayor mentioned and some others in the community, that is at least some assistance. We understand as well on the residential side there are some residents in adjacent buildings that have been displaced as well, and so we're offering some assistance for those folks as well, $1,000 for those households. So the way for those folks to apply for that assistance is, and it's going to be brief, but you do need to come to the Saturday event. So we're really wanting to get word out to folks that way. I know the Red Cross will be, so that's 10 to 4 on Saturday. Secondly, we'd like to assist with commercial displacement as well. So there were several businesses in the building, 324, and we'd like to offer assistance to those folks. we're going to be reaching out to them directly. And then at a lesser amount, that amount I think we've set at $25,000 for the business. Obviously, that's to help with all the loss of inventory, probably setting up at a new place, signage. There's a lot of expenses that go with that as well. And then for businesses impacted in adjacent buildings, because there are several that are still displaced, I think we're setting aside $5,000 in assistance for those businesses. So if you have any questions Saturday, we'll have staff there as well with the Red Cross event. They will answer some of those questions.
Thanks, sir. Okay. You know what I do. Thank you for being patient. I didn't have to tell you at the beginning to hold your questions. I appreciate your patience with us, and so now we'll take questions. I see yours first, sir, so we'll go left to right, and some of you are over here now.
So with these disaster proclamations, money you guys are giving out, these applications, I know they have to either download, submit, usually do it online. A lot of these folks don't have any of the stuff, so they don't have proof of identification. I know that's a step as well. So what are you guys doing to kind of alleviate that issue?
Sure. We plan to make this as easy as possible. So there's a little bit of filling in some paperwork that we can hopefully take care of on Saturday with folks. And then if we miss the folks, we will do some follow-up thereafter. We'll go out and meet with folks as we need to. So we're going to try to track that down. I would quick plug too for Red Cross. I know they're trying to set up on Saturday some assistance to help with some of that proof of identity and you know when you lose everything, you know you sometimes lose your license and everything.
Right. So with this loss of identification that a lot of these folks are going to have, like, how fast is this process going to move for them with all these issues?
I can at least speak for the city funding. I can't give you a definitive time, but we plan to move. I mean, the city council ratification of this next week. We're mobilizing now, anticipating that, so that maybe by later next week we'll be able to start rolling out some of the assistance.
Sir?
So $5,500 from the state, $6,000 from the city. How was the $11,500 determined to be? These people lost everything, so how was that figure determined to be the figure to replace everything?
We're moving quickly. It's fluid. There is no justification necessarily on what is the right dollar amount. I think the state probably put as much as they could in. We're positioning our funding from funding that was set aside from lost revenue for the ARPA, the American Rescue Program dollars. So we pivoted as quickly as we can to try to do that. I'm sure other agencies, Community Foundation is continuing to raise money as I understand it, so that amount may change too.
Ma'am?
You guys have still not said what you plan to do with the building. Those are the people that are hurting on the outside with family members inside. This is great, you're helping other buildings around and the businesses around, but what are you doing to get them out? What is your next step there? Well, the potential unaccounted for inside the building.
So we today, again, as I said this morning, but on site was the state search and rescue team again. Dogs are inbound again, and we are continuing to try and determine what we can see there. We had other cameras in, so we're continuing to do that.
So what about robots? Every second counts right now.
What about what?
What about getting robots in there? Every
So the teams
technology.
that do this work are bringing all their technology to bear and are determining what to use. We've had infrared, we've had all of that already, and they're determining should there be other things to do. The experts, which is not me, is doing that work, and I'm sure you guys are paying attention. You saw them doing their work, and they're doing it. Ma'am.
Is there any restrictions on that city funding for these folks? Like, does it have to be spent on something in particular?
No, the way we're setting up these funds, we know what the intent is, but we want to make it as flexible as possible, so you can spend it on rent, clothing, food, anything you need.
Sir.
Is there a timeline? You guys mentioned a lot of the adjacent residents to letting them back into their buildings, or is that just kind of at the will of the structural engineers there?
I don't think there's a timeline yet, sir. We have been in contact with most of the owners, I think all of them, directly face to face. Sir.
Mayor, any information on the man that was arrested today trying to enter the building?
I don't have information unless somebody other than don't please jump the fence. Please don't go into the unsafe area. I can't implore you enough. Please don't do that. Sir.
So I guess it's kind of for Red Cross right now. The resources that you guys are providing, I know a lot of that stuff is up there on Kimberly Road, but, you know, the folks that are displaced are down here downtown. Are you guys planning to bring those resources down here for them?
Actually, the city and the transportation has been very gracious. We've gotten bus tokens, we have all different things. So if anybody has a special need, they can call 1-800-RED Cross, because we too realize there's some barriers to getting places and getting resources. So every day we are working on those issues. Thank you.
Okay, yes, sir?
Just
And then
to be
I'll go back.
specific about today, there's a lot of speculation always, so I'd just like to be clear about specifically today. We saw a crane moving out. Were there drones today? Just what did the search, what activity occurred today?
I haven't got the report from exactly today, but they've been assessing whether they shore up, how to do it. We're Valley, you saw move their stuff out, so we are in the process, and probably tomorrow we'll have some more details for you on the technical company. Don't quote me on everything, but I'm gonna say company, but technical ability of some organization to do a very systematic approach to this building, right? On how to remove things at certain times. So we're not ready to say who, but the people we believe are doing it are doing their assessment if that's what can go. We probably will be able to tell you that tomorrow. Yes, ma'am. 1, 2, 3 today. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So is the Red Cross actively contacting tenants if they haven't stopped by the Red Cross?
We, Sunday night, immediately after the event, we started a reunification center, and we were able to get information. And we are, not only for the building directly impacted, but also the buildings that have been evacuated. We are working to call and connect with each of those individuals to make sure they're aware of Saturday's event and what we can do helping them. So yes.
Do you know how many people you've contacted or had
I don't
contact
have
with?
that number here. I've not been back to the office all day, but I know they are working hard on that, and that's part of our appreciation of being here today, to make sure we're getting the word out.
Sir, in the back, right there.
Is there a plan? You mentioned that you guys are still evaluating anything. Is there a plan to potentially evacuate the area if something does progress more?
With the building?
Yeah, expand the.
Yeah, there certainly is that contingency.
And what does that look like?
We don't have the exact perimeter yet, but we're hourly evaluating that. Ma'am.
The majority of these buildings in this area are very old, probably a century old. So what are you doing? This could be just the first one to do this. What are you doing to ensure
As I
the
said
rest of the buildings?
As I said this morning,
Okay.
we are constantly evaluating which buildings we should go to, and we have a pretty rigorous inspection based on cycles, but we are evaluating where the inspectors need to go next. We are very cognizant of that.
Can we call this negligence by the owner of the building?
I'm not gonna call it anything. Some investigator, we have, as we turned on all the documents and everything over basically on our website, and we'll continue to do that. And then whoever the investigator is will determine all of that. Our focus is still on safety and parts for the displaced folks. 1, 2, 3, and we're done.
So we're talking about the assistance for people today. This morning we talked about the work to make sure that the permitting process and all that, the inspection process is better. There's still a woman outside saying, charge you with murder. So what are you doing to restore the trust of the people who just don't trust you right
I'm
now?
not even gonna answer something like that. Next.
So how do you guys plan to get the word out to these people? Like we said, you know, they don't have much access when it comes to media and phones, things like that. So is it just planning for the media to get that word out, or what are your guys' plans there?
Of course, yes. I'm thankful for you being here and getting that word out.
But what I'm asking though is that a lot of these people might not have access to watching the news or something like that, or use access to check
Someone
up.
who doesn't have a phone, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer it. I mean, there's plenty of people communicating with me minutely, so I don't know how to answer it. We are trying our best to put everything out, sir.
So kind of going back to resources, I know one thing that's kind of moved from that site over there is porta potties are a little bit for all the protesters and people that's kind of been building around. Those were moved the other day. There are still people that are kind of hanging out. Brandon Colvin's son actually stayed the night over there and tried to use the bathroom and hasn't had anything. Families have come over here and they've been told that the bathrooms are only for the media. Why is that?
So is your question then we need more porta potties here?
Why is there no porta potties?
I think so. Or did we move it? No, if there are none, I will ensure that there are.
They've been moved and they've been denied.
Okay,
Police have
so
told
if
them
there's,
that they're
I will,
for first responders.
we'll make sure there's porta potties for folks. Okay.
And then,
Sir.
has the city been in contact with the contractor who was doing work on the building the weekend before the collapse?
We will have an update on that shortly.
Okay, that's coming short?
Thank you.
Okay. Violate what I
Mayor?
just said.
Mayor?
One more. You haven't asked anything.
Yeah, Mayor, the engineering group that you brought in earlier in the week, you said they were gonna run a drone. I think yesterday we saw that. Can you share with us some of the information they gleaned?
I haven't got that yet.
Okay.
They're putting all that together, but when we get it, you'll get it. Sir, ma'am,
for-
violate what I said. This is the last two.
For people who, you know, live, work downtown, who aren't necessarily in the immediate area, are you guys recommending any kind of, you know, protective equipment for them to wear if this comes down, or is it just kind of stay away from the area?
We're evaluating, you can say.
Corey Spiegel, the city administrator. Our public works team is in active conversations with the DNR. They were here yesterday. We are aware that because of the building being the age it is likely filled with asbestos. And so we know that is a risk to both the public safety responders as well as the demolition team, and will be a concern for the public as we begin the demolition process. It is a highly regulated process, so we will be working directly with the DNR to ensure we do so safely for all involved.
Ma'am.
Many of the residents that we've spoken to, this is their second time being homeless. This is also, many of them, it sounds like they're veterans of America. What do you have to say as a mayor that this is their second time being homeless on the streets?
I'm sorry. And we have many veteran organizations, many other organizations that are helping with that. And if someone wants to reach out to me and have me help them find contact with the Red Cross or contact with any of the CRRC, the Veteran VA for homeless veterans, I mean, is right down the street. They are happy to do that, and they themselves are reaching out to those folks to do that. I know that. So, thank you. We'll have more updates and more press conference tomorrow on other